The champagne flute shattered against the marble floor, its contents spreading like a golden stain across the pristine tiles. Marcus Chen didn't notice. His eyes were fixed on the small, dirt-smudged hand that had just knocked the glass from his grip, and the wild-eyed girl attached to it, her voice still echoing in the stunned silence of the hotel lobby. "Don't eat that." Security guards rushed forward, but Marcus raised his hand to stop them. At 53, he'd built an empire worth $18 billion. He'd negotiated with world leaders, outmaneuvered corporate sharks, and survived 3 attempted hostile takeovers. Yet in that moment, staring at this trembling child in torn clothes, her face streaked with grime and desperation, something in her eyes made him pause. It was the same look his mother had worn decades ago when she'd pulled him back from stepping into traffic. Absolute certainty in the face of imminent danger. "What did you say?" Marcus asked, his voice softer than intended. The girl couldn't have been more than 12. Her dark hair hung in matted tangles around her face, and her clothes looked like they'd been scavenged from donation bins. She stood her ground despite the imposing figures of the security team flanking her, despite the 100 pairs of eyes now fixed on the scene unfolding in the lobby of the Grandeur Hotel. "The appetizers," she gasped, pointing at the silver tray a waiter had been carrying toward the private event hall. "Don't let anyone eat them, please. They're poisoned." A ripple of shocked murmurs spread through the crowd. The hotel manager appeared, his face flushed with embarrassment and anger. "Mr. Chen, I'm so sorry. We'll remove this vagrant immediately." "Wait," Marcus held up his hand again. He'd learned long ago that the most valuable information often came from unexpected sources. During the tech crash of 2008, a janitor's offhand comment about unusual late-night activity in a rival company's building had saved him from a catastrophic investment. "How do you know this?" The girl's chest heaved with each breath, her thin frame shaking. "I live in the alley behind the kitchen. I see everything. 3 men came in the back entrance 2 hours ago. They weren't regular delivery people. I know all of them by sight. These men paid the sous chef money, lots of it. I watched them add something to the food being prepared. For the 5th floor event." Her eyes locked onto his. "Your event?" "Mr. Chen, I recognized you from the newspapers they used to line my sleeping box." Marcus felt his blood run cold. The 5th floor ballroom, his company's annual investor gala, where 300 of the world's most powerful people were gathering at this very moment, where his daughter Emma was probably already mingling with guests, where his elderly father sat in his wheelchair, where senators and CEOs and foreign dignitaries were raising glasses in toast to another record-breaking year. "This is absurd." "Call the police," Marcus interrupted, his voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. "Lock down the 5th floor. No one eats or drinks anything until we know what we're dealing with." He turned to his head of security. "James, I want those men found. Check the security footage. Now." The girl sagged with relief, her bravado crumbling. She would have collapsed if Marcus hadn't caught her arm. Up close, he could see the dark circles under her eyes, the hollow of her cheeks, the way her bones pressed against her skin. When was the last time she'd eaten? The next hour passed in a blur. Police flooded the hotel. The sous chef was found trying to flee through a service exit, $50,000 in cash stuffed in his bag. The 3 men were apprehended in a van 2 blocks away, and in the hotel's lab, working in conjunction with the police toxicology team, they found it. A sophisticated poison, tasteless and odorless, designed to take effect hours after consumption. Not enough to kill in most cases, but enough to sicken severely. Enough to cause chaos, tank stock prices, create panic. Someone had bet heavily against Chen Industries, gambling that a mass poisoning at the company's signature event would destroy its reputation and market value overnight. Marcus stood in the lobby as dawn light began filtering through the tall windows. The crisis had been averted. The gala had been canceled, guests sent home with explanations and apologies. His daughter was safe. His father was safe. 300 lives had been spared because of one homeless girl who had nothing to gain and everything to lose by speaking up. He found her in the hotel kitchen, wrapped in a blanket someone had given her, cradling a cup of hot chocolate in both hands like it was made of gold. She looked even smaller sitting in the large chair, even more fragile in the harsh fluorescent light. "What's your name?" Marcus asked, sitting down across from her. Lily? Her voice was barely a whisper. Lily, you saved a lot of lives tonight. Including my daughter's, including mine. She looked up at him, and he saw something in her eyes that broke his heart. Surprise. She was surprised that anyone cared enough to thank her. Why did you do it? He asked. You could have stayed silent. Stayed safe. No one would have known you saw anything. Lily was quiet for a long moment, staring into her hot chocolate. Last winter, when the cold snap came, I was sleeping in that alley. I thought I was going to freeze to death. Your hotel, the kitchen manager, Mr. Rodriguez, he found me. He didn't call the police or chase me away. He brought me inside, gave me soup and bread, let me warm up. He told me that every person matters, that every life is precious. She looked up at Marcus, tears brimming in her eyes. If those people died, Mr. Rodriguez would have blamed himself. He would have thought he failed to protect them. I couldn't let that happen to him. And I couldn't let all those people get hurt when I could do something to stop it. Marcus felt something crack open inside his chest. A wall he'd built over decades of ruthless business deals and calculated risks. Here was a child who had nothing, no home, no family, no security, and yet she possessed something he'd lost along the way to his billions, the pure, uncomplicated instinct to protect others at any cost. Where are your parents, Lily? Gone, both of them. Car accident 3 years ago. I aged out of the foster care system. I've been on my own since. Marcus made a decision in that moment, one that didn't involve market analysis or risk assessment or board approval. It was simply the right thing to do. Not anymore, he said quietly. Lily, I'd like to offer you something. A home, an education, a future, if you'll accept it. The girl stared at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. Why? Because you showed me tonight that the most valuable thing in this world isn't money or power. It's courage. It's compassion. It's caring about other people even when you have every reason not to. He smiled, and it felt like the first genuine smile he'd managed in years. And because someone once gave me a chance when I had nothing, and I've spent too long forgetting what that felt like. Lily started to cry then, silent tears streaming down her face. Marcus called his daughter, Emma, who arrived within the hour and immediately wrapped the girl in a hug. They took Lily home that morning, to the sprawling estate she could never have imagined existed. Over the following months, she blossomed, returning to school, making friends, slowly learning to trust that this wasn't a dream that would evaporate. Marcus created a foundation in her name, dedicated to helping homeless youth. He started spending less time in boardrooms and more time understanding the lives of people who'd been invisible to him before. His company's stock, actually, rose when word spread of how the crisis had been averted and the humanitarian work he'd begun. Years later, at Lily's college graduation, Marcus watched her cross the stage to accept her degree in social work. She'd grown into a remarkable young woman, strong and compassionate, driven to help others the way she'd once been helped. You changed my life that night, Lily told him afterward, diploma in hand. Marcus shook his head, his eyes bright with emotion. No, Lily, you changed mine. You reminded me that wealth means nothing if we forget our humanity, that a person's worth has nothing to do with what's in their bank account. He pulled her into a hug. You gave me back something I'd lost, my soul. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. The beggar girl's warning had saved more than lives that night. It had saved Marcus Chen from a different kind of death, the slow fade into moral emptiness that consumes those who value profit over people. In the end, the greatest fortune he'd ever acquired wasn't measured in dollars. It was measured in the family he'd gained, the lives he'd touched, and the simple truth that sometimes the poorest among us are the richest in the things that truly matter.